A voltmeter, as the name would suggest, measures voltage difference or potential difference or electric pressure difference. Those are all synonyms. And what we're going to try to find out in this slide is, does a voltmeter have low resistance or does it have high resistance? That's one thing. And secondly, whenever we use a voltmeter to analyze a circuit, should we put the voltmeter into the circuit in series with the circuit elements, or should we put it in parallel? Well, let's take the first case. If we color code these wires, assuming that we put the voltmeter in series and that it has a low resistance, somewhat like a wire, the color coding scheme would look like that, where this middle portion would be essentially normal pressure yellow. That circuit would look just like we want our target circuit to look, but the voltmeter will not be measuring any pressure difference. Notice that on each side of the voltmeter the pressure is the same, so it won't be measuring a pressure difference. That can't be the right answer. Perhaps a voltmeter has a high resistance and it should be wired in series. If a voltmeter has a very high resistance, then essentially the pressure on this end of the voltmeter will be high pressure red and the pressure down here will be low pressure blue. These bulbs will not look like our target circuit. They will not light up. All of the pressure difference will be used to push a small amount of charge through the voltmeter. Therefore, that can't be the case either. Suppose that a voltmeter has low resistance and we should wire it in parallel. If a voltmeter has low resistance, like a wire, then essentially it will act as a shorting wire around this bulb. The top bulb will not light at all, the bottom bulb will be very bright. That does not look like our target circuit. That's not going to work either. Well, what if a voltmeter has high resistance and we should wire it in parallel? In that case, we're going to get a circuit that looks like that. The voltmeter is measuring a difference in pressure, high pressure red here, normal pressure yellow there, and that's what it is. Voltmeters have a high resistance and they need to be connected in parallel. Ammeters, of course, measure amps or current. Let's do the same exercise. We'll go through it a little quicker this time. We again have our target circuit up on the right. If ammeters have a low resistance and they are to be wired in series, in other words, low resistance like a wire, our light bulbs would look like they're supposed to look, and would this ammeter be measuring arrow tails that flow through it? And the answer is yes. So this upper left corner here is a very strong possibility. We'll try the others just to be sure. If an ammeter has high resistance, our light bulbs won't light. That is clearly wrong. If an ammeter has low resistance and we wire it in parallel, it again acts as a shorting wire. The bottom bulb will be very bright, the top one won't light at all, which clearly is not the sort of information we're looking for our target circuit, so that can't be right. If the ammeter has high resistance and should be wired in parallel, then we're going to get a case that looks like this in the lower right. Our bulbs will look like they should. However, if an ammeter has very high resistance, then essentially no arrow tails are going to be flowing through it, which means it can't measure the arrow tails unless those arrow tails are flowing through it. So this is not the case either. The winner for this one is going to be that an ammeter has low resistance and must be wired in series when you're analyzing a circuit. Analog meters have a movable needle that is read by the user. Here are some analog meters. Digital meters have a digital readout. And you can see they're called multimeters because you can measure various things. You can measure voltage, you can measure current, you can measure resistance, or you can measure capacitance on the ones pictured here. Voltmeters have a high resistance. They measure the potential difference between two parts of a circuit, which is why they must be connected in parallel around circuit elements where they can touch wires of different pressure, that is, different colors. Voltmeters are comparatively difficult to damage. Ammeters have a very low resistance, like a wire, and so are rather easy to damage. They must be wired in series with circuit elements because in order to measure current, that current must flow through the ammeter.